Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Good morning. Norma, good morning, DD, and beautiful Chad. Pam, good morning, DD, and everyone. Hi, Norma. Hello, everyone. Miss Barney. Carolina Girl, good morning, DD and Chad. Hey, Barney and Carolina. Barney says, I hope everyone is having a great day. Carolina Girl, Sleuth is in Tucson today doing an interview with the homeless looking man that was hanging out by Nancy's. Got you. Awesome. Miss Barney, they will be an interesting show. This it will. Pam, I'm trying to wake up. Didn't sleep too good last night. Yeah, I feel a little droggy myself, to be honest. Marianne, good morning, all. Pam, hi, Marianne. Hello, Barney. Welcome in, Marianne. Sounds interesting. It is very interesting, without a doubt. Angel Eyes, welcome in, Angel Eyes. Good to have you. Click that like, everybody. Click that like. Double tap. Double tap. Send the thumbs up. Share that stream, everybody. Marianne, hello, Angel Eyes. Hi, Marianne. Hi, Pam. Song is in the house. Good to have your song. Morning, DD, Miss Barney. Hello, Marianne and Pam, and to everyone in the chat. Morning, dog. Pam, thank you for always supporting the channel, my friend. Appreciate you. The Big Ragu's in the house. Good morning. Good morning. The Big Ragu with Laverne and Shirley. Marianne. Awesome. All right. Let's give it one more minute and we will begin. Hope everybody's doing good. Like I said, click that like, double tap. Get those thumbs up, everybody. I did send Chris and Doug their links, so they have their links. So today, we want to talk today about, I want to get into the 16, the House of Horrors, the 16 kids that were rescued from Hamden, Ohio, and that, for better lack of words, treacherous, despicable home. How they lived like that is beyond me. But there is some new information out there. There's quite a bit of information out there, actually. And once we get done with that, we can go to an open chat. But this is what we're going to cover right now. All right. So basically, we all know that these charges were filed and that they charged all four of them. The father, the mother, Gary Sr., Sider Sr., the mother, Christina, and then, of course, Junior, Sider, and Elizabeth, the mom of those 16 kids. We know they went ahead and charged them, but there was some more charges added. And so we're going to cover a lot of different little nuances here, because there was also a couple other people added to the equation. Hello, Purple. Welcome in. Yeah, Barney says, rescue from hell. Barney, I love ragu spaghetti sauce. Pam, hey, Purple. Marianne, hi, Purple. So So all four were charged with 16 second-degree felony counts of child endangerment. On Friday, Gary Siders Jr., 36 years old, and Elizabeth Siders, 33, they are the dad and the mom of all those kids. They were each indicted on 4 charges, including 2 third-degree felony counts of sexual battery and 2 third-degree felony counts on unlawful sexual conduct with a minor. With the minor, everybody. Ole, good afternoon, everyone, says Ole. Good to have you, Ole. So now you're looking at on top of the conditions that these kids were living in, now you're hearing that they actually, the mom and dad are both being indicted on 4 charges, including 2 third-degree felony counts of sexual battery and 2 third-degree felony counts of unlawful sexual conduct with the minor. So apparently there was a lot of stuff going on that we were not privy to. Very horrible, Barney. Very horrible. Oleg, at least they have picked up what's really going on. Absolutely, Oleg. Absolutely. And we'll play a video of a thing that I saw earlier. But along with this, their indictments allege that between January and September of 2022, the two engaged in a sexual conduct with a minor more than 10 years. 10 years they're younger than their own age. So they younger than them. They basically had sexual contact with someone who was 10 years younger in 2022. So if you go and do the math, 2022, you look at Elizabeth's 33, go 10 years from the younger of that, she would have been 23. Gary Sider Jr., he's 36, so he would have been 23, 26. So the idea is that they were involved with somebody 10 years younger. Now, I don't know how that's, they're not giving names, obviously. They're not giving anything like that at this point. I suspected that when we found out about the situation, very sad and disgusting, in my opinion, those poor kids. It gets worse. Going to be listening in while I exercise, so I'll be back in the chat. You got it, El. Linda, welcome in, Linda. 13 and 15-year-olds. Can't make this up, folks. So on 2022, the two engaged in sexual contact with a minor more than 10 years younger, said the victim. It's not a member of their family. So the person that they had this encounter with wasn't one of their kids. It wasn't a member of their family, their immediate family, which would be the 16. But it was somebody else's kid, no doubt about it. The second investigation also stems from a search warrant executed on June 30th, according to Wilson's office. The indictment alleges that the children suffered serious physical harm. Serious physical harm. So not only were they being malnutritious, not only were they not really being taken care of, not only were they not being fed appropriately, not really were they being clothed and kept clean, they were also being physically abused. And that should never happen. There's you remember there's 3 things that people just don't tolerate. Kids, the elderly, and the mentally disabled. This is in that category. This is in that category big time. So the idea now that there was a time back when I told you guys that this was not, that it wasn't, the warrant really wasn't for, I know everybody thought that the warrant was for his going ahead and indecent exposures, remember? But that wasn't the reason why they went there. They were actually working on cases since back in 2022. Okay, so that's really what the real reason why they went there. Now, there was some evidence that came out on how they got some tips and what was going on, but that was the really main focus point. And I remember when I was telling you guys were like, no, it's about the, it's about the indecent exposure, et cetera, et cetera. I never bought into that, because that's an indecent exposure is, as horrible that is, it's very minute compared to everything else. That's not something that they're going to send the whole cavalry in for. But something like dealing with, sexual assaulting and sexual harming, physical harming with children, you can bet your butt they're going to be there. Chaos, good morning, 88, Maz and chat. Thank you for being here, my friend. Click that like, double tap. Get those thumbs up, everybody. So that's really the real reason, and I'll cover this in a little bit to explain why I'm saying that. Gary Siders Jr., the children's father, and Elizabeth Siders, the children's mother, were both indicted on 19 charges. 19 charges. 2 second-degree felony counts of endangering children. That was how they were living. 10 third-degree felony charges of endangering children. 7 misdemeanor counts of endangering children. I mean, it's just crazy. They're not getting out soon. And the appeal of Elizabeth Sider wanting to be released on her own recognizance, that got shot down, obviously. Gary Siders Sr., 73, he's being charged with 16 counts, including 10 third-degree felony counts of endangering children, 6 misdemeanor counts of endangering children. So he has a little bit fewer less, if you will. Christina Siders, 68, the children's grandmother, was indicted on 19 charges, including 2 second-degree felony counts, 10 third-degree felony counts, and 7 misdemeanor counts, endangering children. Now, these are all the latest things that have come out here lately. Yes, absolutely, Linda. They were abusing other kids. Yes. Or taking advantage of, or God only knows what. Don't even really want to go there, to be honest, but yeah, you're right. Now, this is what they're saying. The indictments are the latest developments in the ongoing investigation. Now, they're saying, but the work is far from complete. They're not even done with this yet. They're not even done with this. Wilson, in a statement Friday, BCI is actively investigating these cases alongside Vinton County Sheriff's Office. So you got BCI, Bureau of Criminal Investigations, BCI, along with the Sheriff's Department that are also investigating this. And they're investigating this a lot further as well. They will continue to support prosecuting attorney William Archer said. The case all started. Now we're going to go how this all kind of unfolded, because we're getting more detail. So the case all started with diligent Dollar General clerks. Remember those clerks that were saying, that one that was saying that they would come in always on the same time, pick up oil, water, sometimes go ahead and pick up diapers and whatnot. Thank you, Carolina Girl, for always supporting the channel, my friend. Thank you. Remember that the Dollar General lady was giving that interview, and she was saying kind of like everything that was going on. Where is Casper, Fabio, Howard Stern? He'll be here sooner or later. He's got the link. Marianne, thank you, Carolina. Chaos. Hi, Marianne and Pam. So this case started with the Dollar General employee, the clerks. They had called the authorities. Remember, we were like, why is no one calling anybody? Apparently they did. They called the authorities with concerns over the children they observed. Remember the ones that came in there and when they wanted something, they had their hair covered over their eyes, and then and just very suspicious. And then they wouldn't really talk; they would just point at things, and then the mom would tell them to go get it. Okay, the Dollar General clerks calling authorities with concerns over children they observed. Vinton County Prosecutor Attorney William Archer said in a video statement released Friday afternoon, he asked the public to be mindful of the circumstances around them, especially involving children. We continue to ask for the public respect and the rights of their privacy of the children victims in this case. So this has been going on for a while. This is one of the things they have been investigating since the 22nd. And I remember telling you guys that it wasn't the quote indecent exposure case that's what opened the doors. Okay, they've been investigating these people since 2022. Okay, and the idea that it only really enhanced when the Dollar General employees ended up calling and basically elaborating what they saw that just didn't seem right. Kudos to them. Kudos to them for doing the right thing, because if it wasn't for them, who knows where the case would be. They're probably still under investigation, right? But it opened some eyes, and then things started looking into things, and next thing you know, the same person they were investigating, now they knew exactly where they were at. Why did the person at Dollar Store say they felt bad about not reporting it, though? I think they just didn't really want to, honestly, I think they just didn't want to be involved. They didn't know what the perception would be. They didn't know. And then again, maybe they were told not to say anything, not to put them in, for a better lack of words, line of fire. Maybe they were instructed not to say nothing because of the retaliation. You just never know. You never know, but that would make sense to me, in all honesty. They're gonna seem like, we don't know what happened, but in reality, they know what they saw. They know how disturbing it was, because they even said how disturbing it was. So kudos to them for coming forward. Chaos for his brother and have to walk around. Wish me luck. I should be back sooner or later. You got it, Chaos. Be safe. Hello, Chaos. Chaos, just wanted to pop in and say hi. Thank you so much, Chaos. Appreciate you. April, good morning, April. Good morning. Welcome in. Marianne, thank you for stopping in, Chaos. Hello, April. So now that's what this is really about. This was being investigated since 2022. And that just shows you how long they've been tracking these people down, trying to figure them out because of the reports that they had gotten. Now, there is two other individuals that are involved in this. I wouldn't say they're involved as much as you would think, but they have had a role to play. So there is a separate but related investigation involving two other men. Okay. Josh Saunders and Brandon Henderson Sr. investigators had originally been looking into allegations involving two children before the Siders investigation led to the discovery. So they already were looking into a couple other people. Okay. Josh Saunders and Brandon Henderson Sr. Investigators had been originally been looking for allegations involving two children before the Siders investigation that led to the discovery of the 16 children. Those two men were subsequently arrested on separate sexual abuse allegations. Think about that for a minute. Two other men were also arrested for sexual abuse allegations. Josh Saunders and Brandon Henderson Sr. As of today, August 21st, 2026, the case has expanded. The four Sider family members were formally indicted. Additionally, child endangerment charges, and it goes on to what they were charged with. And then it talks about Josh Saunders. Give me a second here. Give me a second. I'm trying to find exactly where they're at. The report says that Siders investigation itself stemmed from the earlier investigation involving Saunders and Henderson. Now, did they really know? Did Josh Saunders, did they really know who the Siders were? Saunders was a friend of an associate of Gary Siders Jr. He was a friend or associate of Gary Siders Jr. Okay? Saunders had been inside the Siders' home. Saunders had been inside the Siders' home. Saunders was related to the Siders. Saunders communicated with Gary or Elizabeth, and Saunders knew or had contact with the Siders children. You follow me? It's like one big old web circle. A recent report details that says Josh Saunders appears in historical records concerning a marriage involving the Sider family. Specifically, it reports that 2003, a Virginia Siders married Josh Saunders. If that's the same one, Saunders now charged in the Vinton County case. It would represent a potential much more direct family connection. Okay? So there is a connection of some sort with Josh Saunders and Brandon Henderson. Now they are separate. These are separate related incidents as far as goes Josh Saunders and Brandon Henderson. But they are all within that wheel, if you will. Maybe not towards the kids, but around other kids. Just like in 2022, when Elizabeth and Sider Jr., her husband, were actually being investigated for assaulting sexually kids who were 10 years younger. 10 years younger. So that's very interesting. It's very interesting because it kind of opens the door like this was something, and we don't know were the Siders using the kids. Is that how they kind of made some money? They would use their own kids for people to take advantage of them and they would pay, kind of like sex trafficking. Just a thought, an opinion. Did that have something to do with it? Did the idea maybe that they were allowing older men or any men to have some interaction with their kids for money? It's very possible, because that seems like that's where this whole web tangle goes to. You know what I'm saying? That's where all this seems to be pointing at. Not saying it happened, because I don't know that for sure, but we know that mom and dad of the 16 kids, they were with having sexual encounters with individuals 10 years younger than them. That we know. Ole, that would be great. Just Jaylene, good morning, everyone. Welcome in, Just Jaylene. Click that like and double tap. Double tap, put those thumbs up, everybody. So this is a web. This is definitely a web. And this is what's taken a while to kind of sort it all out. So it's not just that they were endangering their kids, talking about the Sider Jr., Senior, Elizabeth, and Christina. It's not just how they were raising these kids, treating these kids, not feeding these kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? Not just that, but it goes even more than that with having these type of engagements with younger people than them. This is where this is all snowballing, and where you guys are starting to see where there's smoke, there is fire, without a doubt. And this is the fire you're seeing. It's starting to come out now. Just Jaylene, Barney, Jaylene Dog, good to have you. L, so terrible. It's bad enough they lived in those conditions. To add this is just horrible, without a doubt. April, I thought maybe sex trafficking at the beginning because they kept them boarded up. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly, April. I mean, you're looking at the fact that, I mean, it's a perfect storm, right? You have these kids. You're working only in DoorDash. You're not really making a lot of money. You're not collecting any government subsidies for the most part. How do you go ahead and offset it? Maybe in their small mind, they were thinking, well, we could always, you know where I'm going. And that's the issue. And then the fact that the mom and the dad who had all these kids, they're going to be going and now reaching out to other younger people to do their, for a better lack of words, sickening acts with these kids or these other younger kids. Just horrible all the way around. So that's where that part goes. And like I said, they went ahead and canceled Elizabeth Sider's request to be let out on her own reconnaissance. They were like, that's not happening. And after everything that's come out, I can't say I blame them. I mean, you know what I mean? It only makes sense to me. Why would you allow anybody to go out or be free when this is what they're doing with literally with other young kids, as it is reported? I'm trying to find the video that deals with, let's see here. Oh, you know what? I know what I'll do. Just go here. And give me 1 second. I'm trying to go ahead and find this video. I think this is the one. I just watched it a second ago. So let's look at this one here. Give me a second. I want to make sure I got the right one. Okay. Let's go with this one here. All right. Okay, I'm going to add this on here. Give me 1 second. Screen.
Of Ohio, the parents of 16 children indicted for alleged sex crimes against children. And they're not the only ones facing charges. I'll explain. I'm Anjanette Levy, and this is Crime Fix.
This is very interesting.
Nearly 2 months after state agents discovered 16 children in a home in rural Ohio, their parents have been indicted, and so have other people. Gary Siders Jr. and his wife Elizabeth were taken into custody on June 30th after their children were discovered in a home on Omer Street. Gary Jr.'s parents, Gary Sr. and Christina Siders, were also arrested. All were charged with 16 counts of child endangering and entered not guilty pleas. The elder Siders have now been indicted on felony and misdemeanor counts of child endangering. Elizabeth and Gary Jr. face similar charges and charges involving sex with minors. Here's Vinton County Prosecutor William Archer with the news.
Sex with minors
began as an investigation into family child sex abuse. Law enforcement sought the DNA of Gary Siders Jr. related to the child sex abuse case. Once Siders Jr. was located, search warrants were executed to secure his DNA for genetic testing. Upon serving the search warrants for the child sex abuse case, the existence and condition of the 16 children at the
So you see what I was telling you before about that whole them going to the house and arresting, with the search warrant, the warrants that they went to that house. They already were going to do this. They just didn't know where he was at. So when those, from what I'm gathering, when the employees from Dollar General went ahead and gave them, talked to them about what they were seeing, and then they put one and one together, and then you could betcha they were keeping an eye on them. And then what happened? They went in there and they made their move and they served the warrant, the search warrant. And when they get there, that was the premise of really why they were there, because they've been working this case from 2022. So when I was saying that this is why they really were there, and there was pushback that no, it was because of the indecent exposure. Indecent exposure is very minimal. Like I said before, they're not going to send the cavalry for that. But something like this, they are definitely going to do. So that was the main reason that they went in there. It wasn't because of the other things. It was because of what case they were working on. They knew where he was at now because of the Dollar General employees that told him about suspicious activity with the kids and these people. And I'm sure during their little investigation after that, they said, hey, this is the guy we've been looking for. That's why they did it. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to point that out for y'all. Here we go.
The Omer Street house became known. The child sex abuse cases involve intra-family relations and do not pose a risk to the general public, and I would also add, does not involve human trafficking. This case all started with diligent Dollar General clerks calling authorities with concerns over children they observed. We asked the public to be mindful of the circumstances around them, especially involving children. We continue to ask for the public's respect for the rights and privacy of the child victims in this case. I'd like to add a thank you to the Vinton County Sheriff's Office and BCI for their investigative efforts, which have been amazing. This case is going to be prosecuted by myself, Kara Keating, Assistant Attorney General, and Annika Collins, Highland County Prosecuting Attorney. Thank you.
So the prosecutor says this case involves family members. Vinton County Sheriff Ryan Kane elaborated on the investigation and how it started.
A Vinton County grand jury today has issued indictments in 3 criminal cases involving sexual abuse and child endangerment. These charges stem from criminal investigations conducted by the Vinton County Sheriff's Office and the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigations, BCI. The cases are being prosecuted by the Vinton County Prosecutor's Office with the assistance from the Highland County Prosecutor's Office and the Ohio Attorney General's Special Prosecutions Unit. In December of 2025, at the request of the Vinton County Sheriff's Office, BCI's Special Victims Unit opened an investigation into allegations of sexual abuse involving 2 children. Information obtained in this investigation prompted BCI in March of 26 to open a second investigation, this one involving allegations of unlawful sexual conduct with a minor. On June 30th, authorities executed a search warrant at a residence in Hamden, Ohio, and Vinton County on Omer Street. There have been a lot of speculation and questions regarding the June 30th presence on Omer Street in Hamden. These indictments provide some insight into the ongoing investigation. However, to preserve the integrity of the ongoing investigation and to protect the victims, I conclude my statement here. I am thankful for the work of my deputies and our fellow partners at BCI. We will continue to pursue justice in these cases.
The grand jury has indicted Gary Siders Jr. and Elizabeth Siders on 4 felony charges each, 2 counts of sexual battery and 2 counts of unlawful sexual conduct with a minor. I've learned law enforcement learned of Gary Jr. and Elizabeth during a separate sex abuse investigation that started back in December of 2025. Okay, so to really dig into these breaking new details, I want to bring in Ron O'Brien. He is the former Franklin County prosecutor at Franklin County, surrounds and is part of Columbus, Ohio. So Ron, thank you so much for coming on. Just first of all, your reaction to both Gary.
So now this guy's going to actually break it down more into science as to what exactly was the reason they went and did everything they did as far as law enforcement. So listen to what he has to say, because it kind of gives you the whole layout, in my opinion. Marianne, hello, Gene. Welcome in, Gene. Cat Code, good morning, everyone. Don't forget to click the like and subscribe, everybody. Here we go, everybody.
Gary Siders Jr. and Elizabeth Siders being charged with sex crimes involving minors.
Well, that was somewhat telegraphed, as we talked about the other day, by a statement of the prosecutor from Vinton County in opposing reduction of bond for Elizabeth. And so we knew something was coming. What seems surprising about this, and it is really unclear as to who the alleged victims are. It looks like the indictment or charges against the 2 Siders go back to 2022, the first quarter of 2022, against unnamed victims, but they were related to the investigation of the other 2 people indicted on sex offenses today. Curiously enough, the press release indicates that the victims were not a member of the immediate family of the Siders, but at the same time, the statement given by the county prosecutor would seem that perhaps they were. So that's something that you and others are going to have to dig into and clarify.
Yeah, we're digging into that for sure and clarifying. And I want to read what the press release says. It says the indictment alleges that between January and September 2022, the defendants engaged in sexual conduct with a minor more than 10 years younger than their own age. The victim is not a member of their immediate family. So it said, he said,
Welcome in, Julie.
This says not a member of the immediate family. However, the prosecutor said this was an intra-family thing. So are we left to believe it's not their own children, but potentially, another child in the family?
And at least since the two investigations were tied, the ones for which the indictment on the sex offenses against the Siders today arose from the investigation of the other two men indicted in the case. It may be that the same victims are involved, and that in the course of the first investigation, the victims relayed that the Siders also were involved either with the knowledge of the two other men and also indicted today, or whether or not they was a follow-up.
And I've learned that investigation 1, which involves Josh Saunders and Brandon Henderson, this is investigation 1 that it began in December of 2025.
These are the new guys.
The information about Gary Siders Jr. and Elizabeth Siders was developed from that investigation. So that is what led the law enforcement officers initially to that house on June 30th. People were saying, oh, it's because they went there for a public indecency warrant for Gary Jr. I think you and I knew the whole time, and I've been saying the whole time, no, they didn't go there with a search warrant for a public indecency case. This was going to be much more serious.
And there you heard it. Just like I told you guys from day one at the beginning, that this is what they were doing. They were actually going there when they got the tip from Dollar General employees, when they got that tip, and then they started looking into it. They were already investigating him. They just didn't know where he was at, where they were at, should I say. And when Dollar General started giving those tips out, and then they started looking into it, voila, it was like finding that, needle in the haystack. Wow, he's right here. And then that's the reason why they went to serve the warrant. Like I said, when you're dealing with indecent exposures, that's minute. That's very minute. In all honesty, that's a slap in the hand. But when you're dealing with this type of case, that they were involved with underage individuals, 10 years younger than them, that's what's big. And that was basically the reason why this all came down. And you just heard it from her telling you exactly that. Catco, thanks, Unique. DK, if they suggest surgery or not, hoping they will. Good luck, Catco. Good luck. Prayers are for you. So that's the whole reason why this is all transpired. Let me get back to it so you guys can hear.
Yeah, and I think we both kind of concluded that at the time, based on the conduct of the investigators, you don't have the Ohio Attorney General down in Vinton County for a warrant on a exposing case. And it's interesting how that exposing case may tie in with these subsequent charges. The only thing I can try and extrapolate from this is either the two men that are charged in the case as well are providing information to the prosecutor and the attorney general that led them to the Siders, or alternatively, the victims in that case provided information that the two men not only perped on them, but that the Siders were involved in sexual misconduct with them. Either of those options would tell me is likely as to how they got on the doorstep of the Siders with the search warrant this summer.
And, we still have pieces of this puzzle that we are assembling. One thing that really piqued my interest was that William Archer, the Vinton County prosecutor, said that alert Dollar General employees contacted law enforcement about their concerns about some of the children that they saw with Gary Jr. and Elizabeth Siders. They were very concerned. And so it seems like potentially we may have had a couple of different things going on here. We have Dollar General employees, and then we also have this investigation one where information is gathered and gleaned about the couple. And all of that was enough to potentially get this search warrant for the house on June 30th.
Yes, and at least it's probably the addition of all that kind of information, potentially from co-defendants, victims on the first case, and the children may have said something at the Dollar General to an employee there that piqued their interest and passed it on to law enforcement. And then they were already looking into the matters the other two men and the Siders had been involved in going back. That's 4 years that the alleged misconduct in that case is alleged to occurred.
What's very interesting to me about this, Ron, I went down to Vinton County, and employees at the Dollar General said to me, I'm really sorry. I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you. And I thought maybe it was a corporate thing. Corporate came down on them and said, no, we don't do that. Because a lot of times when you're dealing with these big chains, you have to go through, the corporate media relations office and things of that nature. And now I'm wondering, were these the people that potentially called in to law enforcement?
And that well could be the case. And the law enforcement personnel would have told them not to talk to anybody such as yourself or others.
These allegations involving Gary Jr. and Elizabeth, as you stated, go back years. But as we know, things like this, it doesn't seem like it's usually a one and done. So the sheriff said that this investigation is ongoing. And we know from the Vinton County prosecutor telling the commissioners we're seeking permanent custody of the children, that's going to happen. And they will more than likely be successful in obtaining permanent custody of the children, especially if there's a conviction on a sex crime. So I'm thinking to myself, if this investigation is ongoing, is there going to be more there? Are we going to see potentially more indictments?
Well, at least if they thought they had enough on inter-family sexual misconduct, I would have included it in the indictment today. And so either they don't have enough because it wasn't going on inside the family home, or the children are still in the process of being interviewed.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform made for anyone with an idea and a drive to bring it to life. Describe what you want and watch it take shape. You can plan, customize, and expand in any direction. From tools built for one to platforms ready for many. From passion projects to enterprise-grade systems. Everything is built in and ready to launch. It's a new world of creation, where you can go as far as your imagination takes you. Can you imagine it? Let's make your dream a reality right now.
All right, ladies, what kind of crib y'all in and what y'all paying for home insurance in 2026?
3-bed ranch, full coverage, $520 a year. My mom see my bill and switched the next day. 4-bed, full coverage, $711 a year. Used to pay near triple for half that.
And how about y'all?
2-bed bungalow, full coverage, $490 a year. Bought it from my uncle. Insurance cheaper than the rent he was charging me. 3-bed, full coverage, $620 a year. My husband ain't even believe me till I showed him the screen. Same house, 30 years, $550 a year. Been paying insurance longer than half y'all been alive. This the lowest it ever was.
Where y'all find these rates?
We all use the same site. Zip code, your house, done. Pick the lowest, that's it.
Tell them the links below.
Links right below.
Going through social workers and psychological treatment and testing, and they may not want to proceed at this point. They can always, as you know, produce a superseding indictment with new charges, new victims after they're arraigned on this indictment and while it's pending.
Ron, let's move on now to the elder Siders. Gary Siders Sr. is 73 years old. He's out on a signature bond wearing a GPS bracelet. When he was released on that signature bond because of his serious medical issues, the Vinton County prosecutor said, look, he's not a threat to the public. But he and his wife, Christina, the grandparents, have now been indicted. They're facing 2 counts of child endangering felonies in the 2nd degree, 10 counts of endangering children, felonies of the 3rd degree, and then 7 counts of endangering children. Those are misdemeanors. They are not charged with any sex crimes. So how do you see?
Catco says, thanks, April and Pam, Julie. So correct me if I'm wrong. This family was getting paid to give their children for money. I don't know if I can say it like that, Julie, but I will say it's something to think about. And I'm sure when they said that that this is not the end of everything, right? When they said that they're still investigating this case because there's a lot more there, that's probably what they're talking about. They're probably looking into that. I don't know for a fact, but it would make sense to me. It would make sense to me. Good question. Pam, hey, Melissa, unique, sickening. Marianne, very sad. Melissa, welcome in, Melissa Curry. Hi, Pam. Unique. The doctors who delivered all these babies really pissed me off. I can understand. Marianne, someone reached out and hit the skip button. Unique. CPS and hospital show should be ashamed. April, oops, not my ad. I went to skip and pause our stream. Marianne, true, unique. Kako, I would even treat my chickens like those people treated their kids, without a doubt. Let's get back to see what they say else. What else did they say?
Their cases ending up because, I mean, they're challenging their competency, or at least their lawyers are saying they may not be competent to stand trial. However, they have not been charged with any sex crimes.
Yes, it's interesting that the elder Siders were not indicted on any sex offenses, either within the family or outside the family. They are just facing the multiple endangering children charges that range from a misdemeanor up to the 2nd degree felony. So what we can conclude from that is apparently they don't have enough evidence now.
So the reason they're not really charging the parents, Gary Sr. and his wife, Christina, is probably because not only, like he said, that they don't have evidence, but more so that they are just more because they knew what the conditions were like. You know, it's kind of like that guilty by association type deal. They knew what the conditions were like for those kids, and they never once spoke out against it, or they didn't go out to reach out to law enforcement or someone to take care of the situation. They probably there's more there on their end, but because they can't find anything just yet, that's probably why they're still investigating. Who knows? It may come out later that they were a part of this whole master plan. You just never know. That's why they got to go ahead and investigate it. But the idea that they're not charged, they knew about what was happening and they didn't say nothing. You know, they knew what was happening and they didn't say nothing. That's why they're also being a part of this, but it's just not when it comes to the, you know, the essaying of kids or whatever, because they haven't had that information come out yet. You know what I mean? They haven't been able to put that, because if they're able to, believe me, they will in a heartbeat. Ketco, it's sad that people do treat their animals better. Ketco Pam Ride gave 6 chickens away, more square footage to live. Julie, trafficking within their own family. The dad taught these people something, and the bastard is out. Sorry for the word, but his part of the knowing, and that's why they're charging him with those endangering charges, felony charges, because they knew about it and they did nothing. And that makes perfect sense in all honesty. But I'm not sure it's going to end right there. I think you're going to see a lot more coming down the road that's actually going to be more eye-opening, that there was more than just that. Just my opinion, but I would not be surprised. People were saying they didn't know what they were doing and such, didn't know better. In my opinion, she proves that very well knew. Absolutely. And that's a good point, because I even was saying, well, is she the victim? Could she be a victim? Well, it's kind of hard being the victim when you're doing this kind of thing to other young kids, right? Or young kid, right? It's kind of hard to call yourself a victim when, in fact, if you are a part of this, this is what you are doing. So, yeah, I mean, all this is going to come out because they're going to talk and they're going to investigate everybody and everybody. And those kids are probably also speaking out as well. Make no mistake, as best they can. Not that they have the most proper grammar, but they're probably hearing some things from those kids. Thank you, Al. Appreciate that. Thank you for supporting the channel, my friend. All right, let's go back to listen what we got.
Now to proceed on sex offenses inside that home, or alternatively, they never occurred.
Now, that was former Franklin County Prosecutor Ron O'Brien with some analysis for us. Let's watch one more time what the Vinton County Prosecutor and the Sheriff had to say about this investigation.
A Vinton County grand jury today has issued indictments in 3 criminal cases involving sexual abuse and child endangerment. These charges stem from criminal investigations conducted by the Vinton County Sheriff's Office and the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigations, BCI. The cases are being prosecuted by the Vinton County Prosecutor's Office with the assistance from the Highland County Prosecutor's Office and the Ohio Attorney General's Special Prosecutions Unit. In December of 2025, at the request of the Vinton County Sheriff's Office, BCI's Special Victims Unit opened an investigation into allegations of sexual abuse involving 2 children. Information obtained in this investigation prompted BCI in March of 26 to open a second investigation, this one involving allegations of unlawful sexual conduct with a minor. On June 30th, authorities executed a search warrant at a residence in Hamden, Ohio, and Vinton County on Omer Street. There have been a lot of speculation and questions regarding the June 30th presence on Omer Street in Hamden. These indictments provide some insight into the ongoing investigation. However, to preserve the integrity of the ongoing investigation and to protect the victims, I conclude my statement here. I am thankful for the work of my deputies and our fellow partners at BCI. We will continue to pursue justice in these cases.
These cases began as an investigation into family child sex abuse. Law enforcement sought the DNA of Gary Siders Jr. related to the child sex abuse case. Once Siders Jr. was located, search warrants were executed to secure his DNA for genetic testing. Upon serving the search warrants for the child sex abuse case, the existence and condition of the 16.
So once they found out where they were at, if you notice, when he said once they found out, then that was when they went ahead and went in and did what they were going to do as far as the warrant and whatnot. You know, it wasn't up until that point that they figured out who they had in their backyard, without a doubt. Thank you, April. Appreciate you. Thank you for that gift and membership. Always helping the channel, my friend. Thank you. So that's literally why. Thank God the clerks at Dollar General came out and said something. Thank God they brought this attention out, because the reality is that they would have never said anything. They would still, for all sake and purposes, as you well heard, they would still be looking for these individuals. You know, they didn't know where they were at until they started getting the tips, and then they started looking into it, and then it was like the aha moment. You know what I mean? So that's very crucial. Just wanted to point that out. Thank you again, April. Appreciate you for always supporting the channel, my friend.
The child sex abuse cases involve intra-family relations and do not pose a risk to the general public, and I would also add, does not involve human trafficking. This case all started with diligent Dollar General clerks calling authorities with concerns over children they observed. We ask the public to be mindful of the circumstances around them, especially involving children. We continue to ask for the public's respect for the rights and privacy of the child victims in this case. I'd like to add a thank you to the Vinton County Sheriff's Office and BCI for their investigative efforts, which have been amazing. This case is going to be prosecuted by myself, Kara Keating, Assistant Attorney General, and Annika Collins, Highland County Prosecuting Attorney. Thank you.
Gary Jr., Elizabeth, and Christina Siders remain in jail. They will have to be arraigned now that they have been indicted on these new charges. And remember, you can read the entire Siders case file on our app. It's called lawandcrimeplus.com. And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. We'll be
So there you go. Now everything starts to make sense, right? Everything starts to make sense now. You know, why did they go there? You know, how did they see? Because when I was there in Hamden, you couldn't see anything. All the trees, remember what I covered there, all the trees, the houses were ways away. Matter of fact, there was only 3 on that block, but they were a distance away. And that home that they lived in was all surrounded by trees. And then on the other side of the road, you had a railroad tracks. Then you had a bunch of more trees. So I could see why they were, for a better lack of words, in my opinion, hiding in the right spot. I could see that. I could see why no one was calling. But once again, I go back to the Dollar General people. Thank God they felt an urge to say something. You know, thank God they felt like they had to say something, because that is what probably escalated this whole process to take effect right away. Very interesting. Marianne, thank you, April. Thank you, April. Oleg, every divorce granted to the woman of these families is awarded to the woman grounds extreme cruelty. Well said, Oleg. Julie, December 2025, they should have had info into their home regardless. The conditions of the home should have been enough, but takes months. Well, there, like I said, when you're dealing with a case of indecent exposure, it's like a traffic ticket. Honestly, it's just like a traffic ticket. It's not like a moment, you know. But when you're dealing with, you know, assaulting little kids, sexually assaulting little kids or whatnot, or endangering little kids, now it's a whole different ballgame. And that's what led to this. What about the community living next door or something? You know, Julie, because when you go there and you're there, you look around, there is no neighbor. The neighbor, it's like probably a good 100 yards, 150 yards to the right. And then another one is about 150 yards. That's a little over a length of a football field to the left. So, and then in that mix, everything is blocked off where it's all, you can't see anything because the trees, it literally, the house is in the middle of all these trees, right? Even though the house is close to the road, it's still surrounded by all these trees. There is no house right next to it. That's why it was difficult for anybody to be able to see what was happening, especially if these kids were not allowed to go outside and only possibly go outside at nighttime. Tabitha, driving and listening. This gets wilder each report. It does. Welcome in, Tabitha. L, hello, Bible. Welcome in, Bible. KB, so it's possible then that Elizabeth didn't give birth to. No, I think she gave birth to all 16. I'm not sure, like, what was said that made that a confusion. It's all 16 were her kids. That's what was reported earlier. So yeah, I'm not sure where you got that, where you might have heard that said something different. Julie, oh, Pam, hey Tabitha, Julie, wow, sad L, hi KB, Jim, welcome in, Jim. Click that like, everybody. Click that like and share it. So that's that. And it's important to understand. And Oleg's right. When Oleg says that they need to go back in history to see how this pattern developed, that's a good point. Just to go back and see, you can learn from that to try to prevent it down in the road in the future on another situation. But yeah, it's very, very interesting how this is all unfolding. Barney, hey, Jim, Pam, Jim, Oleg. Marianne, hi, Jim. So now let's go here. I want to see this one that says, I think it's going to be up here. I don't think personally, now after seeing all this, I'm not so sure that it's not that simple for me to say that she's a victim. I'm sure in some capacity, but here's the thing. She also participated with her husband in, for better lack of words, another person of 10 years younger. So that ought to say something, I think. The exposure of one person's body in these days should be a huge flag. These days, child trafficking is out of control. Exposing yourself to children, she could be an investigation. Right. That is true. Very true, Julie. I'm not sure, I'm not sure where this happened as far as the exposing. Was it at the park or what? I don't think it was at the house because there's no one around there. There's no one there. There's no one around there. There's only one trailer that sits over the tracks on the opposite side. And I'm not sure you would get a good view there. But other than that, short of a kid riding his bicycle down the street, that's the only thing I could see that could happen. Yeah, because of the mentions. Because of the DNA. That could be because of the, for a better lack of words, maybe when Gary Jr. and Elizabeth went ahead and had those sexual encounters with a young person 10 years younger, they may have did a swab back then, a swab, and they had DNA but didn't have anything to match it with. So that may be what they're talking about, that they need to go ahead and get the DNA to match it up to that. Because if they didn't have any other crimes in the past, they're not going to be in that CODIS system. Just something to think about. I'm not sure that's the reason, but it makes sense. Thank you, Unique, for the gift. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. Jolene, 10 years younger as anyone under the age of 18 in this situation. I don't know why they didn't say it as a minor. Yeah, I'm not sure, Jolene. I'm really not sure, to be honest. Said to say these behaviors tend to be generational. Yeah, without a doubt. Julie, I'm sure if they were let out at night, these children were being so. That's what I'm thinking, and that's why I'm thinking they kept saying that there's still a lot more to come. Like there's a lot more investigation to be done on this. At the beginning of that video, they were saying that. So I would bet, yeah, there is a hell of a lot more that's out there that they just haven't pieced together yet. The children, sorry, I'm so mad at this case. I get it, Julie, no doubt. I need the charger. April, you too. We Investigate. If you're not a subscriber, We Investigate. He does a great job. You might want to go ahead and subscribe to We Investigate. He is covering the Clancy case right now and doing a damn good job about it. The charger for the laptop. You have it plugged in over there? Hang on, everybody. All right. Had to get some power here. So that could be the reason why. Hit the like button, everybody. Do me that favor. Pam, Julie, I am upset at this case too. Very case that the child is harmed. Our children are innocent and we should be protecting them, not causing harm to them. Well said. Well said, Pam. Julie, how many other people are doing this? This is sick. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Well said, Julie. Julie, Pam, it's crazy. And I think that's the issue that we find is, once again, go back to the three groups of people that you really do not want to mess with is children, the elderly and the mental disabled. I mean, that's just a prime, that's asking for a lot of problems and headaches. And I guarantee you that these people are probably going to be going to jail for a long time, in my opinion. Barney, Oleg, let me try this. Have you noticed that where part of a family is in 1900? Interesting. Let me go get this one out of here. All right, there you go. So now what's going to happen is they're going to keep doing the investigations. No one's going to get out. A lot of things are going to happen here in the upcoming future. I don't think no one's going to be leaving. I just saw this here. Yeah, so that's where we're at there, guys. That's where we're at. So on this case in itself, I mean, at least we can see that there's progression being made, unlike many other cases that we've covered. At least we can see some progression. At least we can see that they're doing something. We can literally see what's happening, in front of our eyes. Dog, some of the family lived as inmates in the county infirmary in 19. I did not know that. I did not know that. Interesting. But that's the whole thing. That's what you're looking at. That's what you're seeing. You're wanting to see justice at its best, and that's what you're seeing. You're seeing them actually finally happening. Yeah, it may take a long time. Yeah, there was a lot of dropping on the ball. Without a doubt, the state dropped the ball a lot. By not doing their checks with every time the cider Elizabeth had a child. There's a lot of dropping the ball there. The good thing is, at least that's all coming to a head now, and that's if there's a silver lining, that's it. Melissa, charges are going to be a mile high after each kid talks, and I do believe they're talking right now. To the best of their ability, they're talking right now, giving them information. That's how they're able to, put things together. And it's going to be, like I said, I don't see none of these people getting out anytime soon. I think they're going to be doing some, especially the mom and the dad, they're going to be doing some real time. And the theory that, she could have been a victim herself, she might have been, but I think that went out the window when in 2022, when her and Sider Jr. were deciding to go ahead and have their way with a younger kid or kids. I think that just shot that narrative right out the window. This is the 16 kids in Hamden, Ohio. The one they call the House of Horrors, the one that they went in, the law enforcement went in there and removed the kids. They were living in horrible conditions and malnutrition. And when they came in and got those kids out of there, 2 had to be meta-flighted out. And 1 went into, I believe, an intensive care unit. The other ones all went to the hospital to get treated. Oleg says 1 family member male died in his death certificate. It says insane due to STD use. Your imagination can't write it here. Very common in the older days. Oleg, 1 unique. Hoping in between voices for the missing Tucson and UDD. Everyone is so dedicated. It's amazing. Thank you, Unique. Angel, I appreciate you. Appreciate you coming in here and being with us in this live. Please click the likes and subscribe. If you are a subscriber, become a member. Be a Devil Pup investigator in the channel. And if you're not a subscriber, be a subscriber. It doesn't cost you anything. Just let you know when I'm going on and we're having a conversation. Morning, Jim. Jolene said, it's not the kids. It was not their immediate family. But the one guy and his brother-in-law, though, correct. Yeah, I never said it was their kids. Yeah, it wasn't their kids. It was somebody that, it was not, let me rephrase that. It wasn't their immediate family. It was somebody outside the immediate family. Immediate family would have been their kids, and that's not who it was. But we don't know because all the investigation's not done, right? And that's what I think they were talking about, was that we don't know what else is going to come out of this, because they're saying there's a lot more there. They just haven't been able to put it all together, yet. So we know there's going to be more than likely. I mean, if you're going to do that to someone else's kid, what would make us think that they wouldn't do that to their own kids? I mean, I'm just saying, if you don't have respect for kids, period, then you don't have respect for any kids. That's just my logic thinking. Yeah. So where do we go from here? That's actually been the latest news that came out yesterday. I'm thankful for some. I forgot which Devil Pup said talked about. Hey, did you hear about the new information? But I just read it last night, and it was very interesting. Very interesting. But it's kind of like what I thought was going to happen. In all honesty, I thought that this was going to be something of that magnitude. I just didn't really want to go there because it's just not it's not a good place to go. In all honesty, they would have to leave the country if they were released anytime soon. They would have to go in hiding, that's for sure. And I don't think they're ever going to see those kids again. In all honesty, I just don't see it. You know, maybe when they're of age and if they want to go ahead and look up who their parents are or whatnot, then it'll be at that point. But it won't be any time for those kids under the age. Especially if she is convicted and her husband's convicted of having this thing with the young adult 10 years younger. If that is proven to be fact, I just don't know how they're able to go ahead and still be able to see their kid, knowing that what they have done or what they have been accused of doing or what they have been charged of doing. And it says, hope they do not. Oh, yes, you're right. You are right. You are right, Annie. Or I'm sorry, you are right, Jolene. One of the two other people, yes. One of them is a brother-in-law. And the other one, I think, is just like I think he's somewhere in the family, but I'm not sure what exactly he is. But you're right. One of them is a brother-in-law. And they're not mentioning any kids of their own was involved with him. But those are two separate charges on and let me look real quick, on Josh Saunders and Brandon Henderson Sr. Those are two different cases that came up in the course of investigating this case. It was like, oh God, what's this here? You know, it's kind of like they stumbled upon it. And their allegations into involving children before the Sider investigation. So they were already looking at these guys, but you know, it's kind of like that, you know, birds with feathers flock together, you know. They're in that same realm. And that ought to be interesting to see how that unfolds. Yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon, to be honest. So this is going to be huge because they are being tight-lipped about it, and they stated it's not a trafficking issue. Well, remember, it's kind of like well, for better lack of words, it's not a trafficking issue until it is, right? Maybe in their process of doing their investigation, they're going to come out to find out, oh, heck yeah, there was a lot of trafficking going on. You know, kind of like everyone's cleared, but you haven't had all the evidence come back yet, but you're going to clear everybody, like the Nancy case. You know, it's only not until it is. So that's how I would look at that. Yeah, okay, Jolene, you were the one that said about the information. Thank you. Appreciate that. I knew somebody did. Thank you, Jolene. Jolene was the one that let me know about the new things that come out about this case. So, yeah, thank you. I knew somebody did. I just couldn't remember who. Victoria, welcome in. Victoria, welcome in. Annie, April, morning. Pam, hi, Victoria. Victoria, Pam, hello. Annie, nothing else about the Nancy story, just asking. I'm putting something together on that. It probably won't be ready till like Monday, but I am putting something together. So, and it looks pretty good. It's just I want to make sure I got all my ducks in a row before I go with it. Barney, dog question: Do we know for sure how they keep finding new places to move to? How did they afford rent? The only thing I can think of is, the only thing I can think of is literally, I hate to say it, but utilizing their, I don't even know how to say it in a nice way, but utilizing their resources and their family, if you understand where I'm coming from. Annie, okay, thank you, Didi. Yeah, I'll have something. I've been working on it, trying to figure out how to present it and go from there. Guys, give me a minute. I got to step up for a minute, okay? Just give me 1 second. One All right, everybody. Sorry about that. I'm back. So the other thing I want to let you all know too is that we got our tickets. We got our tickets bought today for the going to Tucson. We got our tickets, and so we are set with that. I'll give you guys the dates later on as it gets closer, but tickets are gotten. We've got them this morning. Melissa Carey says, Julie, I agree with you. Drugs and sex, they look like heroin addicts and live like druggies. Five, 443. It was disgusting beyond info, not give a D about them. Glad the kids got out. Yes, I agree. Jolene, no one knows what anyone is doing behind closed doors. We live in a sad and messed up world anymore. That is true. Jim DD just got kidnapped. I am back. Annie, 5443 messed up, but now you know what I mean. Miss Barney, where I grew up as a child, we had one of those sick families. I didn't fully comprehend it then, but my grandfather understood. He heavily guarded his little girl. Victoria, tickets for what? Well, we're going to be going to Tucson. We are going to Tucson to where Nancy lives, up at the Catalina foothills. I'll give you guys the dates just a little bit as it gets closer. I'll let them know. I don't want anybody to really know I'm coming up there. As far as like, I just don't want I don't want people to know offhand, but you guys will know. I'll tell you guys before we go. But we will be going to Tucson. The tickets are bought. We got them this morning. So now we're looking for rental and a rental car and now a place somewhere close by. Go down that road. Dog, can I hop in for a minute, please? Yes, you can. Hang on a second. Screen, I guess. Hang on 1 second. All right. Peace. Here you go. There it is, Barney. Jim, Miss Barney, God bless him. Jim, Jody, whoa. Victoria, good. And we can go ahead and get a different perspective from being there, you know. That's the whole purpose. And then you guys can see us out there. We can lay some flowers up there at that shrine up there by that KOVA station. We'll leave some flowers up there and whatnot, all from you guys. Here you go. I can hear you.
Hello?
I hear you.
Okay. First of all, good morning.
Morning.
So the Siders family,
Right.
supposedly the state level or any government level said that they couldn't find where the Siders were, correct?
That's what the impression they gave, yes.
Okay, so if the grandparents are paying the rent or electric or anything like that, even with Social Security or disability, the government knows where they are.
Yeah, but at the time, I'm not sure that the government knew that they were living with Grandma and Grandpa.
No, but wouldn't you knock on Grandma and Grandpa's door and kind of be like, hey, we're inquiring about so-and-so or so-and-so.
It's possible. It's possible. Not to say anybody would have come to the door. Nothing would have been forced for them to come to the door. I know what you're saying, and that's a good point. I think that I just think this was a lot of dropping the ball everywhere across the board, and I think that in reality, that's probably what it was. They didn't know.
Absolutely.
Because you're right. I mean, you're going to match up the names. You're going to find out where they lived. And obviously they were in Ohio. They lived in Ohio. That's where they were. They used to live down south. So that all, yeah. I mean, it's just the idea that they probably didn't know. Well, no, I'll take it back. If I'm not mistaken, I thought all the utilities would put in the mom's name, and it's very possible she could have used her maiden name because she was a stepmom. That's a very possibility.
I'm not so sure she was a stepmom.
No, she is a stepmom.
Okay.
She is a stepmom. And the reason I say that is because they came out and said she was a stepmom.
So we don't have one genius in our government that might be able to figure that out.
Yeah, no, but I mean, here's the thing. They should have been able to figure it out, in all honesty. They should have been able to figure it out. They should have been able to know exactly they should have been able to know exactly, where to go from next. But you're talking about, this is the poorest county in Ohio. There's not a lot of money, so that tells you there's probably not a lot of resources, and they're not going to go anywhere outside that box. This was probably just giving it to them on their lap when the Dollar General employees came out and said, "Hey, we're noticing something kind of odd, blah 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 blah." And then somebody goes out there and looks and goes, "Yeah, this is kind of odd." And then one thing leads to another, and then it's like, "Oh God, that's so and so. I wonder if so and so's there." And next, you know what I'm saying? It could have been a snowball, but for sure, they should have done any bit of work. Could have shown that they were probably there because of the grandmother or not the grandma, but the mom and the dad and the stepmom.
I personally get so tired of hearing we are understaffed. We can't do this, we can't do that. Yeah, you can, because you can pull up so easily information on people. It's ridiculous what you can find out there. And if Elizabeth or Gary Jr. were using a food stamp card, that information comes through.
Yeah.
Where were those food stamps being registered to? To whom? It's really not that hard. I just find it unacceptable.
No, I agree. And here's the thing with those food stamp cards. If let's say you live in Hamden, right? And then let's say that you move to Ashland, that card, when they get their food stamp cards, those things are loaded every month, right? They're loaded every month. They could be living in Ashland, and that's where and this is just a hypothetical, because I'm not trying to make excuses for it, because I think the state dropped the ball big time. But I'm just saying it's very possible that they moved from Ashland, hypothetically, or Cleveland to Ohio, to this part down south. So they got their benefits in Cleveland. They're going to still get their benefits throughout the year until they have to reapply. So once they reapply, they may not be over there in Cleveland anymore. They'll be over here in Hamden, Ohio, down south.
But the location of where you use those food stamps can also be, it's supposed to be a red flag. If they aren't being used right in the local area of where they are issued to, sometimes that's a red flag, and they will say, wait, are they actually making these purchases? And then we'll try to contact the people and be like, are you the one using your card? Or, are we looking at a problem? So yeah, all the way around, there's even those cars, somebody had to license them, insurance,
Mhm.
register them. Whose name are they in? It's
Mhm.
not rocket science.
No, it's not. But for some people, for better lack of words, who are not zealous in trying to find exactly what they're looking for, it just goes by the wayside. Like I said, if it hadn't been for the Dollar General employees that said something, they still be
Correct.
looking for them.
E- exactly,
So
exactly.
so kudos to somebody, because somebody said earlier about, I can't just believe that the neighbors would have see something, and I'm thinking, well, if you went there, you would see that everything is so secluded
Oh
that
yeah,
there's no way in heck anybody could have seen anything. And then that's not even counting when the train's going down the tracks, and then on the other side of the tracks you got nothing but woods as well. So you only have one small little trailer that sits on the other side that could be the only possible where somebody would have seen something. Short of that, no one else would have seen anything. It's almost
exactly.
like it's almost like living in an alley. That's what it was like. It was like living in an alley, except the alley was right by the train tracks.
Yeah, and it's
You
not
know?
a heavily traveled street,
No, no. Unless you
but
know somebody that lives down there, you're not going down there because there's only three houses on that block, and one's
yeah,
in the middle, surrounded by trees. The other ones are surrounded by trees and are at the end. So,
it doesn't even look like that street's a shortcut to go
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. Well, it actually, when we left there, we took a left going back to the main road. We took a left on that house that's to the right of that house. If you're looking at that house to the right of it, and we took a left on that road, and it was a dead end, so you couldn't get out. So we had to back up and come back out. And if you go to the all the way to the other side and you go down that road, that's a dead end. So they live on dead ends areas. There's more houses on the street. It's all a dead end. You got to come back the way you came in.
You have a purpose for being there.
Exactly. You picked the right spot. Yeah.
Now, where I lived, yeah, I lived on a back road, really remote to anything, and whenever you heard sirens in a certain direction, we automatically knew, oh, the traffic's going to start coming down our little back road here now because they
Right.
had to close off the intersection for an accident. And all of a sudden you'd see 18 wheelers rolling through or whatever. And, you know, but other than that, that road was very rarely traveled.
Right. Right.
Uh,
And true.
totally secluded area. I mean, I could have stood outside and screamed my lungs out and nobody would have heard me.
Yeah. Well, I didn't understand it because I remember telling my wife I didn't understand it because I didn't understand how anybody could have not seen all these kids. But then when I got there, I was like, oh God. First thing I said was, how's anybody going to see these people over here?
Yeah, and
And that was the first thing I said.
I doubt the kids were out at all. If so, very, very rarely. How are you going to manage, 16 kids, even 8 kids, 6 kids? How are they going to manage that many kids at a time outside?
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
I mean, as teachers, yeah, we do it, but a family like that, I doubt they're going to take the kids outside just to play and have a good time.
No, they're not going to do that. They don't want to be seen. They don't even want to know that anybody knows they're there. That's why they're not even collecting any government assistance from there, because they would have to give where they're going to school. They would have to give, like records that they're up to date on shots, yada, yada, yada. They just have to give up information that would expose where they're at, and they're not going to do that. So I don't know how they lived. I mean, that's why I said earlier when asked, how do they make their money? Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's probably something in the line of the resources they have, which in this case, unfortunately, they looked at in my opinion, they looked at their kids like they were the resources.
Yeah, it very well could be, because grandma and grandpa were not well to do at all financially. And, that house has to trace to a current owner. And
Well,
I don't think that current owner should be docked in any way, but I'm sure they could answer some questions like, how many people did you rent that house to?
Well, apparently, how the story goes, the person who rented the house, and I'm saying this because we did some research on it, the person who owned the house, rented to dad and mom, the older dad and mom, Senior and Christina.
And probably never knew anything about the rest of the clan.
Right. And then what happened, they weren't living there at the time, Junior and a little gang of 16, they weren't living there. So what happened is when they ended up moving there, the owner of the person who actually went ahead and rented them there was a lady who was in real estate. Okay. She handles the homes, she handles houses out there.
Rental property.
Yeah, a property manager, or whatever you want to call them. And she rented the house to them. The owner didn't live in the state. The owner ended up dying.
Oh.
The owner, it was an older lady. She ended up dying. And when she died, that house went to the estate of I think it was her daughter, who lived in California. So now she's handling this thing for her in California. You follow me? So it's kind of one of those, they live somewhere else.
Nobody's really checking.
Yeah, grandma gave us the house, whatever, just do whatever you got to do with it. Because probably if you're living in California, you're not that, like hurting for money, because it's very expensive to live there. So my guess would be that it's not a guess, it's that she actually got the house, and we had her name. I had her name written down in one of my books, one of the books that I write on my notes in. She went ahead and still let that lady go ahead and be the person who was renting that house out, since she was doing it for the previous owner.
Makes sense.
And so that's why there was never really like any checks and balances, or I don't know. She may have came back once a year. She may have came back to see the house. May have came back to see like what everything was looking like. That I don't know, but I do know for a fact that it did come back to the owner in California, because the original owner had passed away, and that's who they left the estate to.
So that could play a big role too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because once again, that's just like a perfect storm, right?
Absolutely.
And then what happened was Junior and his kids, they came down to stay with a grandma or grandpa, whatever you want to call them, the Senior and Christina. They came down to live with them, and then it appears that their health started decaying, especially Senior started decaying.
Yeah.
And that's when everybody thinks that Junior just kind of like started calling all the shots.
Took over the reins.
Took over the reins. And because even they didn't look that bad apparently when they first got there. They looked like, you've seen pictures of them when they were really healthy. They look healthy. They look like your average Joe.
Right.
But it wasn't long that they got really sick. And case in point, remember when they made the arrest and they took him all in? Mm-hmm. He ends up falling. Now the hospital says he's got a lot of other things wrong with them. The county, the city, or the county for that matter, they come out and said, "Hey, Vinton County," they say, "this will bankrupt us." So they're like, just let him out on his own reconnaissance and let him deal with that. That way, that bill's not on us.
So then, where is he now?
See, I don't know. I think he's free now. I don't think he's back at the at the jail because of his health issues, they're not going to want to take that chance. So when I'm going to say he's probably at that house, and I'm sure that when they need him, they're going to send, they're going to, like anything, they're going to either call. He probably. I think they put an ankle monitor on his leg. That's what it was. They put an ankle monitor on his foot so they could know where he's at, and he had to provide information to not only where he was staying at, but a phone number. So now when they need him to come into court, they just call him. I mean, and that's usually how it kind of works. But most of the time, you won't see that happen where he'll have a high bond and they'll say, "Well, we don't want to we don't want to take a chance that he feels sick and we take him in. Now we have to pay all that, hundred thousands of dollars of medical bills, and they're like that literally will bankrupt us. So we're not going to go ahead and go that route,
Well, I would tend to think I don't know if it's true or not. I would think senior would have had like some kind of state or government health insurance, whatever they call it, Medicare or Medicaid. So he probably isn't totally without health insurance.
Right.
I'm just thinking a little bit outside of what's directly in front of us.
Right.
As far as the financial thing, and tracking where people are.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it's not rocket science. It's inexcusable that all of this was overlooked for not only the children, but even if Sider Sr. needed health care, this wasn't tended to.
Right.
You can tell he's been sick for a little while.
Yeah, no doubt.
But if he went for medical help, they feared it would bring attention to the household. What a messed up situation.
Yeah, well, you're very limited on what you're going to be able to do in movements wise because you have too many people in that house, and that's a red flag in itself. So I mean, that's not going to be okay with the Job and Family Services. There's too many people in there. How in the hell are you living like that? Too many questions. Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question as law enforcement?
Yeah.
If you suspected that there may be something going on in that house,
mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me you can't park down the street and just kind of, say it's a speed trap thing,
mm-hmm.
but while you're there, you're kind of zeroing in on that house a little bit. Is that possible to do?
Absolutely. Well, that's probably what they did when the Dollar General people told them of what they were seeing. That's probably exactly what they did. They went down there. They started to look, from distance. They didn't just go to the house. They started to look. Once they confirmed him, because he door dashed. So once they confirmed him coming out of the house, they knew he was there. So at that point, now they know where he's at. Now they can, get a search warrant, go ahead and not just a search warrant, but a warrant itself, and go ahead and pick him up because he was under investigation. So right. I could see that happening. Yeah, that would be the only way you do it because you'd have to confirm that he's in there.
Well,
you'd have to confirm.
If he's doing DoorDash, he had to have a vehicle.
He did have a vehicle. There was two vehicles on that property when we were there. There was a car and a truck. Yep.
So he had to be driving one of those.
Right.
Sorry, if I was law enforcement and I suspected something, I'd wait for the one time he didn't turn on the turn signal or anything like that. Pull him over, get his ID. Oh, sorry, sir, but your driver's license doesn't show your accurate address.
Right.
Come on.
There's so many things you can do. Thinking outside the box. There's so many things you can do. So many avenues to take. It's just not. once again, you have to be programmed that in your head of all these things. For me, it's a no-brainer. For people with more time than myself, it's a no-brainer in law enforcement. But for somebody who maybe like, I mean, what big has ever happened in Camden or Hamden? Whatever, what big thing has ever happened there? Hell, we don't even know, right? We don't even know what the hell they're known for.
Yeah,
You know?
so they're not like Arizona where they are bombarded with everything
Right.
constantly 24/7. So what I don't know how many officers they have in Siders area. I'm sure probably not too many, but there's got to be somebody, a couple of people behind us there. Hello.
Well, they're probably not going to have anybody that's there because it's covered by the county, which means no one's going to be there. They're going to drive by if they have a contract with the county. The county's just going to drive by there. Like if they said, we want to have you guys service our town, because we're not big enough to really afford it, then the county say, okay, they'll come up with the figure, and that figure may be X amount of dollars for 4 hours, 6 hours a week. And then you say, okay, we'll just show up here, 1 hour a day, and the only way they'll come more is if there's a crime being committed, and then they have to go ahead and arrest somebody or something, or you know what I mean, something like that. But short of that, they usually just come by just to kind of see, make sure they're in sight, everybody sees them, and then they leave. That happens a lot in the smaller. I mean, even like where I live, it's like that. We're contracted out to the county. So then what happens is the county just every now and then you'll see them drive by in town and you go, oh, okay, they're here. But then they're gone, right? They don't stay here. You're only paying for their services, so you're only getting what you pay for. But if something happens, like let's say there's a pew-pewing or an accident or something like that, there they come because it's in their jurisdiction, So that's how that usually works.
I don't know. I guess I'd probably be a sneaky law officer.
No, and they do that. I mean, what you just stated, they do that big time. They do. I mean, we've done it. They do it. They go there and they literally, for better lack of words, they hide out where they're not going to be seen, and they monitor until they see what they're looking for. And if they start noticing little signs of whether it's little kids, or they start noticing that he's coming out and gets in his car or whatever, at some point they're going to say, we know it's him, we identified him, he's there, now it's just a matter of let's get the warrant signed by the judge and go ahead and go out there. That's how it usually works, in all honesty. But yeah, they're going to be there, they're going to be watching, but you got to remember, this case was going on in 2022.
Exactly.
It's been going on for a while.
So you can't tell me they couldn't find them. I don't buy it.
Yeah, no, I don't know why they didn't go sooner. I didn't know why. All I know is that that's what they said. And they made it perfectly clear that it was, when you read it, they made it perfectly clear that it was because Dollar General employees came out, how they were able to uncover where he was at, where they were at.
Thank goodness.
So kudos to the people at Dollar General, because if it wasn't for them, none of this would have come out yet.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
We used to have a saying, probably other people have heard it. If you want to know what's going on in somebody's neighborhood, ask the postman, the school bus driver, and the local employees at the stores.
Right.
If you want to know what's going on, just go talk to any of those.
Well, I can see that. Absolutely. They're all in the public service.
Exactly. And you have to get gas somewhere. You have to
get food somewhere. Got to get, you're going to get, your bus driver is going to take you, take the kids to school. They're always going to, they got to be very vigilant too.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
So the bus driver is going to be vigilant because he's got kids aboard.
Yes.
it's just a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, but I just think there was a lot of dropping the ball, and then that's what they did. The state ended up knowing that either we try to fix this or we're going to get thrown under the bus here. So they gave them the $1 million to fund for their care and their needs and whatnot. They gave them $1 million, and that's pretty much, that's exactly what was going on.
You can't put a price tag on kids.
No, but with them being that, hey, let's give them $1 million, not them, but Job and Family Services, and they'll control that money to get them their health care, their shots, their food, because everything costs money, right? Someone's got to pay for it. So if the state says we're giving you $1 million, and it's like in a fund just for them, all those kids, that $1 million is only going to last 1 year. That's it.
With 16 kids?
Yeah, 1 year. That's all it's going to last. So then after the year, they'll go ahead and see what they have, who's where, what they need, and then they'll put another request in.
So this story has to stay in the light, even if there ever is a trial, because we still need to make sure these children are properly taken care of.
Right.
That is our duty as society, because let's look at it. All the people that should have been looking out for them, government dropped the ball.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've said that long ago. This is a lawsuit waiting to happen, and yet, someone's going to pay the price.
We need to, as society, keep this in the limelight, even after quote unquote everything is said and done. It doesn't matter. We still need to be looking out for those children.
Well, that is true. I agree.
And it's going to be a double-edged sword for those kids growing up, how much they remember, and how other societies will accept them.
Right.
This is a lifelong struggle. So somehow we have to look out for them without, in internet language, without doxing these kids. We still need to be looking out for them.
That is true. I agree. Jolene, that left you took there, I took care of those people on the live right there, those houses when I worked there. Interesting, Jolene. Yeah, it took I think it's like almost like the one on the, when I took the left. Okay, when I took the left, it was almost, it looked kind of like a mobile home type of house. So yeah, that's interesting. And you're from that area, I believe. Interesting. Annie, thank you, Dee Dee. You're welcome. Julie, Fear, April, the kids weren't allowed outside. No, they weren't allowed outside. That's what I'm saying. If there was any time that those kids would have went outside, it would have been at nighttime. And then as dark it is, as closed off as it is with the trees, I guarantee you no one would have seen nothing, in my opinion. Unique, Angels, so sad. Jim, the world be a playground. These poor kids. Unique, drugs, maybe. It's very possible. Oleg, she unalived the owner. She died the owner. Yes, the owner died and left it into the hands of her daughter. I believe it was her daughter, and she's in California. April, Unique had to be, in my opinion. Jim, owner died at the house, is in a trust. It's correct. It's in a trust. But the owner of that house is in California. Annie, maybe they were having the kids to get money. They do not. They do that here in town all the time, just keeping them and collecting. Yeah, the only thing with that is that I don't think they were collecting anything because they didn't want anybody to know that they had that many kids. It would be a red flag would come up, and especially if they know that they're being looked at or they're trying to being tracked down, it's going to be difficult.
Now,
The
who did you say came to the house to visit? A brother-in-law or something?
There was a brother-in-law and a friend of a relation to the family by relation. I don't know if it was who it was, but it was a relation. It was the actual dad. It was so Josh Saunders, I believe, was the actual brother-in-law to the family, and Brandon Henderson Sr., I believe, was the one that was he was family, but extended family from other sides of the family, if that makes any sense. And so
Oh,
he's within that realm. And the children that they were with, that's why they got charged, was not from the family of the Siders, like the kids. It was from another family's kid, if you
Okay.
will.
Somewhere through marriage.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. We don't know if they were regular visitors
No, it
or,
didn't say. It just
but
said, yep.
when those names come up like that, could they have had anything to do with the children? I'm trying not to say it.
Yeah. I'm thinking, because the officer, the investigator, and also the chief was saying that there's still a lot of information. This is not even close to being done. There's so much more information they're gathering. So that tells me that they're looking at this. Like they said, there's no sex trafficking. Well, there's only no sex trafficking until there is sex trafficking, right? So if they don't have it, they can't just come out and say this is what it is, but they can go ahead and work the case, and then all of a sudden discover, oh God, there was sex trafficking going in there. Okay, now it becomes a legit play in the game.
Right. Right. Yeah. There's a lot more investigating to do.
Oh
But
yeah,
another question too is, how do you move 16 kids?
it's rough.
Little by little. Okay, Elizabeth, you stay home with these, these 14 kids while I chauffeur 8, and then I'll come back and I'll get more. What?
I know that when we were younger, we had 2 station wagons. So that's how we went ahead and we moved. And when somebody went, like let's say mom and dad took the kids somewhere, everybody came, but you just went in 2 separate vehicles.
Right. Yeah. I do
mean,
understand that.
Yeah.
But
So that's how we did it. But here, I have no idea. I mean, that's a good thought, because it makes you wonder, like you said, did they go down there and take 5 or 6 and then come back and take the other 6, or did they take 8, cram them in one car, and then come back and cram another 8 in the car? I don't know.
it's just one of those little details that I can't help but overlook. Like, how do you move kids like that and not be seen?
Right. Absolutely.
Wow. So I don't like to point the finger. These people obviously chose what happened. They obviously chose to live the way they were living, but I do hold the government kind of responsible for not tracking it down sooner.
I agree. Totally agree.
No, I can't.
No, that's totally agree. Jim, no evidence that any of the kids were getting a check. Yeah, there's no evidence of that at all.
Yeah, and these children, if they're really, I don't like to use this word, but it was already used by law enforcement there. If these children were so feral and didn't have language skills, there's only so much information you can get out of any of these children at one time. It's going to take a long time.
Right.
It's going to have to involve people that specialize working with children, like the therapy play to get information. It's going to take a very long time. And yeah, KB, I don't want to ignore your comment there. She says, because they are minors, we have no right to info because of privacy laws. Absolutely. But somebody, I'm sure there has to be people now that are within the system that are going, no, people within the system have got to be going, no, this is not okay. And they'll be keeping an eye on things, I hope. I
hope so. I mean, that's all we can do is hope.
It's not pretty. It's never going to be pretty, but, this happens definitely a lot more than we think.
Happens quite a bit in this country. It happens everywhere in the world, but it happens a lot here.
And, Oleg and I did kind of drop a hint there about some of the ciders being inmates in according to the Ohio 1900 census in Vinton County, several of the family members, we're talking mom, dad, and I didn't bother to number how many kids. They all lived in the Children's Hospital, also known as County Infirmary.
Interesting.
So this is probably a kind of a generational thing. I don't like to point that out because it may not be true, but to end up in an infirmary, you and your wife and countless children, you're either very, very poor. That's why you're at the county house. It's also known as an almshouse.
Right.
And so you must be very, very poor, husband and wife and several kids, unable to take care of yourself and your children. But those children grew up. And the one that was in the infirmary, the father, he was already, let me look up my notes. In 1900, he was already 55 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was one of, I believe, 11 children.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like I said, this may be a generational thing. I don't want to make excuses for the family by any means at all. None whatsoever. But, I did some genealogy on them, and this is what I'm finding. It's probably been a very, very poor family for generations, and things happen. Not that it can't happen in higher class families,
right?
But we're talking 1900s up into the 2000s. It may just be a lifestyle for them. It doesn't make it right, but
right.
Obviously they knew what they were doing was wrong because they were hiding.
They were hiding. They were hiding. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not making any excuses for the families by any means at all. When it comes down to it, the children suffer, and as far as I care, the adults probably shouldn't see the light of day again, just to protect all children. That's just my opinion.
No, I think that's well said. KB, after the million is gone, they will probably sign them up for services based on where they are placed. That's very true. Jim, KB, probably. Jolene, yeah, I live in Jackson County. That's the county next door, basically. The little left was a mom and two sons left. Mom and two of her sons lived down their different houses. Okay.
Is that the Siders family that lives down a couple of houses?
Hey, I live in Jackson County. Yes, the county right next door basically lives. Basically, that times left was a whole time was a mom and then her two sons lived with them the different days. Gene, been listening and this channel has sad. Yeah, I know, Gene. Hey, Gene, Pam.
Well, and you can't just put these children in just any normal foster home. It's going to be it'll have to be a specialized one. So, and I hope nobody ever steps forward and says, "Hey, yeah, one of those kids just moved in with a foster family here in my town." Let's not do that, please. I'm just putting that out there ahead of time. I hope no one does that. This
Right.
is where the children are. We just want to know that they're properly looked after. And I'm guessing the state has no other alternative, but oops, we made a huge mistake and this is what it is. And yeah, now we just have to step up to the plate.
That's it. That's really it. Well said. Gene, have a blessed day. Thank you, Gene, for being here.
These children may not even be in Ohio anymore.
Well, true. That is very true.
But just a sad case all the way around. But yeah, I mean, I have a list of names that all match up, and it just looks like it's been kind of a rough haul for this family for many generations.
Yeah, for sure. Indiana Smith, take 4, drop off 4 more at oh my G's house. Not doing that. Linda, take 4, drops off, get 4 more. On my opinion, Jolene, I think that's part of the government failure by the enforcement coming out and calling these kids feral. April, minors are always protected in a case of names. Absolutely. Jolene, they had originally from Vinton County. Originally, they are from Gala County. Interesting. Jim, Linda, the world will be a chore within itself. Good morning, all buttercups. Welcome in, buttercups. Jim, buttercup. Jolene, let me put it on here again. Down there where you turn left. Turn left. It on here again. Down there where you turn left was a family that I took care of when I worked home health care. It was a mom and a house and 2 other sons have their own houses, not the Siders. Right. I'm assuming there's only 3 houses in that area in that drive, if you will. So when you take a left and you're going down like this, you have one house here at the corner where the street goes this way. And if you keep going down, you have the Siders home. And then if you keep going down at this end, you have another home. And all of it is being surrounded by trees, so you don't see nothing. I guess that was my point. Jim, kids are split up, not foster family can take 6. That's a fact. I don't see it happening.
No, me either, especially, like I said, they're going to have to be specialized.
Right.
Just no way around it. But
that is a fact. No doubt about it.
We can't stop the story, after the trial. The United States needs to remember this. See something, say something.
That's it.
Just make sure you're pretty sure something's going on before you just call.
Right.
Like I said, this whole thing was not rocket science. It just wasn't. It's unforgivable in every realm, starting from family right on down to, townspeople, government, everybody. It's extremely sad, and I'm sure Oleg has done some genealogy on this as well. I'd love to get together with her and compare notes and see, like, just like, oh nope, that's not right. Oh wait, that is right. Just to compare genealogy notes.
Yeah, I'm just writing something down here. Okay. So we know we got that. We know we need this. What else we need? We need this.
Oleg, are you still out there?
So, Maz, just so you know, whenever you can put this out there, and we'll try to get that dang wish list going again. It's just we've had so many problems with it. But so we still need a case for the Starlink to put it in, right?
Oh, it doesn't come with a case?
It doesn't come with the case. So we got the Starlink, just not the case. And we could use a GoPro, not a GoPro, let's see, thinking. I had one. It's no longer operable. It's what you do your streaming with. A gimbal of some sort. A gimbal. It's called a gimbal.
Make sure you have chargers. Probably more than one.
True. Very true. So you're going to need a gimbal for you to record anything and to go live, other than use your phone. But we know how problems we have here. We have the Starlink already. The tickets are gotten out of the way. So now it's just we're looking at the gimbal itself. They run about, I don't know, $60, $65. And gimbal. We got the tickets, got the Starlink, and then the case. The case for the Starlink, and it's a mini Starlink. It's what they're using out there right now.
Oh, and that seems to work okay.
Yeah, that seems to work fine. And then, the reason I'm saying we need a case is because we're going to be flying down there. So,
well, with any travel, they should be in a case if they're not being used. Yeah.
Yeah, like it came when I bought it, I got it. It came in just like a regular box,
Oh.
And then it came with like styrofoam.
Okay.
Covered the bottom, the top, but it's not ideal for like if you're traveling.
Right.
So that gimbal, we need a gimbal. We need I'll get with the wife to see if she can put that thing together again. Maybe try it again. But we need gimbal, case.
Just a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Would you need a tripod at all?
I have a tripod.
Okay.
I do have a tripod, so I'm not worried about the tripod. Just really at this point, there's just like three expenses that we really need, and because we all know room and board out there ain't going to be cheap. We all know that gimbal, that's pretty cheap, and the case is not that expensive. So. Yeah, that's it. But other than that, we do have it. We got the tickets. We're going. It's a done deal. It's official.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe not tell anybody you're there until you're already going live.
Yes, and I will and that's a good point, because I will let the mods know before I leave. Everybody will know once we go live. But I will let the mods know just so they know we're on our way. I don't want.
Just keep us in the loop so we know when you're heading out.
Oh, absolutely. I just don't. What I don't want is I don't want to be smothered with anything. I just want to be able to.
You don't want the attention. You just want to.
I'm not looking for no attention. Just want to go ahead and see what I'm seeing, observe what I'm observing, do the video that I need to do. Leave some flowers over there at that KVOL AVOA, wherever the
ABOA.
hell. Yeah, leave some flowers there for Devil Dog 88 and Devil Pups. Leave some flowers there. That way we can say at least we care about what happens.
Yeah.
And then just kind of go from there. If I think anything, go ahead.
Maybe check out where that latest person
Yes,
passed away.
yes, absolutely. That'd be another spot I'd like to go to where the house is at. And kind of maybe do a video there, if possible, without being a distraction.
Yeah. I
And
think
then
you can easily slide in and out.
Yeah, so there's a few things I want to get done out. There's several things I want to get done, in just trying to. We're going to be there for 5 days, so
I wouldn't even make that public.
No. I'm not going to let. Like I said,
How long you're going to be there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I like I said, I'm just, a lot of this stuff is just things that are coming to me.
Right.
So I will definitely go ahead and but I'm going to get with all the mods. I'll let you all know what we're doing, where we're at, what as it gets closer.
Yeah, just so we know you're leaving,
Yep.
you're on your way, you're there. This is my first move. Because
Yep.
I don't think mods are gonna say anything to anybody.
No. I think what will happen is I'll let you guys know, so that way I'll probably put out a schedule of what I'm planning to do, and that way you guys know what's gonna, like, where we're going day to day, and then and that's why I chose the timing, because it's not so hot during that time.
Amen.
I don't want to deal with that. But I'm not going to be going in any washes. I'm not going to be going in anybody's yard. I couldn't give 2 cents about. I just want to get the feel of what the atmosphere is telling me.
That
what
right
it's
there
showing
can
me.
tell you a lot.
Absolutely, without a doubt. LDD will be fine. Chris McDonough and Mark and several others have been out there. No trouble. He's good. Oh, no doubt. Honestly, guys, I'm not even worried about it.
No,
Honestly,
but you don't want to invite trouble either.
Right. That is correct. And I'm not worried by no means.
No.
It's just the idea that I want you guys to know where I'm at, so that way you guys can kind of know what's going, like what's that next on that agenda and that type of thing.
Yeah, because let's face it only takes one bad person out there.
Yes. No, I did yesterday when 857 was on our live yesterday. He had told me, he said, well, get with me when you get down here and I'll show you the place. There's some places out here that this, that, and the other. And awesome. I may do that for one day, just kind of ride with him a while and see what's going on.
Get a real
feel of the area. Yeah, absolutely. And then go from there. But that's it's gonna be okay. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not worried.
I'm not worried, but I'm smart enough to be aware.
Yes, absolutely. But I just want to let you guys know that's what we have. So I'll try to get that wish list put together, or have my wife go ahead and put it together. It's just that we've had nothing but problems. And then here's the other thing. Has anybody heard of Groundsky? I have not seen. I've been looking for him online and everything. I know where he lives, as far as what part of where he lives in the place where he lives. I know where he lives. I just, I've been looking everywhere to try to find this guy to make sure he's okay, and I don't know.
I have a question. I don't know, because I don't get into everybody's business. But could there have been a problem online and he just decided change his name or whatever online? I don't know if he was part of any of the blow-ups that have happened. But I think he would have let you know.
He would have. I think he would have, because I think he would have, at least said something as far as what was going on.
I hope we don't have another missing person case.
Yeah, well, my concern is I know that he had said that I think he had said, if I recall right, that he had several surgeries done.
Oh,
more of like a facial surgeries, and
oh,
trying to, and that's why I was concerned. I didn't know if maybe one of them went wrong, a surgery.
oh, our
So
thoughts
that,
are with them.
yeah, that's the only reason I'm saying that. But other than that, you know what? The good Lord will take care of him. No problem. Yeah, we haven't seen Gronsky since he said he was going on vacation, and they haven't seen him since. And that's been over what, month and a half, literally.
Something like that.
It's
Something
been a
like
while. So just keep your guy. If you guys are on different, when you guys go to different channels and stuff, and you guys are out there, just keep an eye out for him. Just like I said, just want to make sure he's all right. He was like all of you. He was a big supporter of the channel, and that's why I know he would have said something personally. I mean, he has sent me messages before of how things were going and everything. So there's no doubt he would have done that. But
Yeah, our
just a
thoughts are with
concern.
them.
Just
Yes.
absolutely.
Well, we have to look out for each other.
Yeah, I mean, Oleg says, is his channel still there? You know, I looked it up, and I'm not seeing anything. I mean, it was like he was there and then he wasn't. And if he moved on, that's great. I have no problems. I just want to make sure that he's all right. That's my only concern. I can give, anything else doesn't matter, just as long as he's okay. That's all I care about. Everything else.
Another one I can't find. I know he's here pretty much every day. Doug. I cannot find his channel.
I don't think Doug has a channel just yet.
I think he may have posted some other people's videos. That's the only way I found him, but I have not found.
I don't think he has a channel, because I think he said the last time we had talked about this was a few days ago. He had mentioned a comment about that he was trying to get all his equipment together before he started his channel.
Okay, all right.
So I think right now the subscribers that he's got is like when people subscribe to your thing, but probably as soon as he gets everything he's needing to get, he can go ahead and he'll, because that's what he said. When I get all the stuff that I need, I'll go ahead and start my channel. So that made sense to me.
Okay, all right. That makes sense, because I have sent him email, and my emails, you've been kind of acting wonky. Like if I email, which I have emailed him before, and the only way I notice a response is if I go to my sent box.
Gotcha.
And see, like, maybe he's replied, but it doesn't come straight to my inbox.
Right. And April just posted there that he's got his YouTube channel. Maybe he was saying he's not going live until he gets his equipment. That's what he said. He's not going live until he does have a channel, but he's not going live until he gets all the stuff he needs. That makes sense.
Yes, now it makes sense. Gotcha.
Yep. Annie, have a good one. Thank you for being here, guys. I think I'm going to take the day off tomorrow, Sunday.
You should
just kind of relax a little bit.
Get ready for your trip.
Get ready. Well, because I'm headed. I got to head out to Chicago here coming up next Thursday.
Yeah, be careful there.
Yeah. Now that one, I'll say I'll definitely be careful there. I don't know a lot about it.
You'll feel the vibe when you get there. Trust me, you'll feel it. You'll feel it.
There you go, Buttercups. There is the email. There's the email.
Email yours?
Yeah, Buttercups needed the email. So if you guys hear anything or see anything, please let me know. But I just want to say thank you. I'm going to take the day off tomorrow just to kind of regroup and just kind of chill out. I got a lot of stuff I got to do around the house.
Well deserved.
Yeah. And but I appreciate everyone. If you guys got anything you need to send me as far as information or anything, you guys got my email. It is on our profile type deal. So if you go into the channel, you'll see it there too. And just send me what you got as far as information, because look, I've been getting a lot of information from a lot of people as to pictures from Carol and just everybody, in Carolina. Everybody has been sending me pictures of Oleg, and I look at every one of them and try to process what I can. So just know that, yeah, it comes in handy, because there's times where I'm always on the go that I don't have some times to even sit there and put something together. So if I see something, it's going to remind me, hey, get this, put this into some type of narrative as how you want to deliver this, and go from there. Just gives me a good idea.
Right. You need some time off, and it's well deserved. And one thing, if Oleg is here, if she could just pop in so that
she just popped in right now. She just popped in. She said, "Did you see the green car I sent?" Yes, I did, Oleg. I seen that. Actually, it looked like a pretty nice green car. Go ahead.
Can Oleg step in just for a minute, even if she doesn't want to talk? I just want to send her my email in the private chat. Is that okay, Oleg?
Yeah. I'll put it out there. Oleg, I get. Here's the link, so you can come on in, and I guess Barney wants to exchange something with you, information. If you want to come in. Thank you, April, for posting that. Appreciate that. But yeah, you're good, Jolene. No worries. What, Jolene? Missed that one. I'm out. I'll talk to you on another time. I use talk to text. Sorry, that's why you're all good, Jolene. No worries. I thank you for all the information and everything you bring to the table. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all of you guys. There you go. Jolene's in the house. Welcome in, Jolene. I'm sorry. Welcome in, Oleg. My bad. I have to go to. You got it, April. You have a good one. Thank you for everything you do as well. Thank you for everything you do, bringing the channel to where it's at. Appreciate you. You too, Pam. Have a great day. Good to see you, and thank you guys. I'll see you guys Monday. I'm going to take the day off tomorrow.
9 a.m. Monday?
9 a.m. Monday.
Okay.
9 a.m. Monday.
Eastern time.
9 a.m. Monday Eastern time. Oleg is in the channel.
Okay, so Oleg, my email address is up there in the private chat for you. If you'd like to email me, I think we have some great notes we could kind of compare and maybe come up with a little more information for Dog.
That'd be great.
Sometimes we just need to personally work together a little bit, because we don't want to put out other people's information until we've compared notes. And even then, we still want to be careful how we do it.
Thank you, Pam. You have a great day. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great day, and thank you for always supporting the channel. Jim, likewise, have a good one, my friend. As soon as, Oleg already got it because she's off.
She got it?
I think so. She's off. So yes, she got it. She says, yes, I got it. Couldn't talk as I was on my desk. Don't have the mic set up. You're good, Oleg.
That's good. That's
Unique.
Good.
You all have a great day. Thank you so much, Unique, and thank you for all your perspectives as well. Next week in Clancy case, maybe we shall see justice for those babies. Yeah, we're gonna definitely talk. That may be what we talk about, unless there's some breaking news. We will definitely talk about the Clancy case, and then we're still waiting to see if they're going to catch this guy or what. This guy who, unalived a cadet. We're going to see. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? There may be some breaking news. If there's breaking news, maybe I will come on, but you guys will see it before me. The breaking news. So, all right, everybody. Appreciate you all.
Everybody have a blessed weekend, and we'll see you Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. You better take some time for yourself too, dog, please.
I will. I am going to. Thank you so much, Bonnie. I appreciate you coming up and having that conversation. And everybody, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Love you all. God bless you. Take care. And like I always say, it's all common sense, everybody. Everything we do here is common sense. That's what makes everything so good, because it's not that complicated. A little bit outside the box, but not that complicated.
And stay safe.
You got it. All right, everybody. Simplify, everybody. God bless you all.